let's take a look at this practice for independent and dependent variables. There are a few problems here, and let's go through each one of them and determine what the dependent variable is, what the independent variable is, and then practice writing a clear directional hypothesis. Okay, number one, your cell phone bill and the number of minutes you talk. I don't think this is how cell phone bills work anymore, so I'm showing my age here. But it used to be the case that your cell phone bill would go up if you talked more minutes on your cell phone. And so the cell phone bill depends on the number of minutes. So your hypothesis would be something like, as the number of minutes increases, notice we use a word like increase or go up, something like that, your cell phone bill will increase. Okay. So a hypothesis is a declarative statement. It's predictive. It's what we expect will happen. Number two, the number of hours you work and your paycheck. So remember the rules, what comes first? Is it your paycheck or is it the number of hours? And your independent variable is always the thing that comes first. So your dependent variable here is going to be your paycheck. And the independent variable is the number of hours you work. So our hypothesis might be something like this. As the number of hours you work increases, your paycheck will increase. Make sure it's a statement, it's declarative, and it tells us what we expect to happen. Okay. The next one, number 3. The number of cans of Frisky Vittles your cat eats each week and your cat's weight. So what comes first? Well, it could be the case that you have a really fat cat and that means you have to feed your cat more. It could be the case that you feed your cat lots of food and your cat gets fat. Sometimes we don't always have time order established. And if you end up with a fat cat from the shelter, you might find yourself having to feed him a lot of food just to keep up with his hunger. But you probably were thinking your independent variable would be the number of cans of food that causes a change in your cat's weight. And that's usually how that works. So we would say, as the number of cans of food your cat eats increases, your cat's weight will go up. Okay, number 4. Oh, looks like it's on that page. How many roaches you see in your kitchen and the number of times you clean your kitchen each week. I used to live in Georgia, and I really, really did not like cockroaches. Well, the dependent variable here is probably the number of roaches. And your independent variable is likely the number of times you clean your kitchen. Now, it could be the case that you see a cockroach and then you decide to clean. And as that number goes up, you clean your kitchen more often. But more than likely, the independent variable is the number of times you clean your kitchen each week, and your dependent variable is the number of roaches. So our hypothesis would be, I'm going to just do that as the number of times you clean your kitchen increases. The number of roaches will decrease. So the more you clean, the fewer roaches you should have. So as the number of times you clean your kitchen increases, the number of roaches will decrease. Sorry, I got a little messy there. Okay. Number 5. Test score and time spent studying for the test. Your independent variable is time spent studying. This is a scenario where it's probably pretty evident what comes first, the time spent studying or the test score. So is time spent studying increases, we would expect your test score to also increase. All right, the last one, amount of alcohol consumed and the drinker's reaction time while driving. Okay, so the dependent variable is reaction time. What happens to your reaction time? And the independent variable is alcohol consumed. And you expect that the more alcohol you have, the worse off you will be behind the wheel of a car, right? So because we're dealing with time here on reaction time, we have to pay attention to the wording of our hypothesis. So as the amount of alcohol consumed increases, your reaction time will increase. So it might be tempting to say that it will decrease, but time, remember how we measure time, it gets longer and longer and longer, and so your reaction time will be slower if you've had a lot of alcohol. So the time will actually go up. You could also say your reaction time will get slower, but I think that can be confusing. So if you think about how the variable works, make a note here. As the amount of alcohol consumed increases, your reaction time will increase, meaning you will get slower when you are responding to things.